In a world of economic uncertainty, safeguarding your retirement savings is more important than ever. Gold is a trusted store of value, providing stability for centuries through countless market cycles. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can protect your financial future with the enduring power of precious metals. Don't let election volatility erode your hard-earned nest egg. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024 and get up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account. Noble Gold Investments, your partner in financial peace of mind in 2024.
Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're doing the audio-only version, kind of like old school radio. We're in a remote area, and we're still setting up the comms to make sure that we have good internet, that we can do live streaming. But for now, this has to do. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. The mantra stands, and thank you for tuning in. I wanted to talk about something that many of you have encountered or probably are still encountering. When you talk about maybe current subjects like weather manipulation or weather control, whether that is HARP or whether it's NEXRAD or it's, all the chemtrails and all the other technologies that exist today to manipulate our atmosphere, the stratosphere, the weather patterns and whatnot, people will look at you, especially if you're someone who's bringing up different perspectives often, and they'll say, well, listen, buddy, not everything is a conspiracy theory. Not everything is a conspiracy. Sometimes it's just weather. Sometimes it's just a coincidence. And while that statement in and of itself is not wrong, sometimes things are happening that maybe weren't planned or weren't scheduled by a cabal, if you will, or a number of forces that work together behind the scenes for their own purposes. They are often speaking from a completely different perspective on reality, and that's exactly what I want to talk about. The difference is that people do not look at events, at news, at politics, at their governments, at all these things from an objective standpoint, right? So they look at it through their programmed lens, through their belief systems, how they've been brought up. And so when you say something to the contrary, you are challenging that. You think you're challenging a lie that's being told to the people. But to the person that's listening, you're challenging their belief system about the world and what it is. And you are speaking from a completely different baseline reality than they are. What does that mean? Well, there are two ways to look at the world that you live in. One is through the eyes of, you've been born here, you grew up here, you've been programmed here, all those things. So you look at the world in this way. And then there is another way. Imagine you would come from another world, from another planet, from another galaxy, and you'd never heard about Earth, and you'd never heard about this matrix, if you will. And then you would just observe what's happening here, but you have no stake in the outcome, and you have you're not aligned with anyone. You are not in anyone's team. You don't have a belief system about Earth. You don't have an earthly religion. You don't belong to a party. You just look at the facts. And if you would do that, you would come to completely different conclusions than most people do. See, most people believe the world is as it seems. Like they think what they see, what they hear, what they've been taught is the truth and reality. And because of that, they're almost incapable to see something different. So when you present them with facts, they can't see those facts. It's almost like it's physically impossible for them. And this is why only sharing information only gets us so far. The sharing of information, of alternative facts, if you will, that are actually truth, it only reaches a certain number of people. And those are the people that are A, naturally curious, B, always willing to improve themselves or willing to learn something new, willing to keep expanding, right? And that's the minority of people. The majority of people are not interested in that. And that's why the main work is not so much just the distribution of information. It's to help people realize that they have been programmed. It's to show them and teach them how to become aware of that, then show them and teach them how to deprogram, and then how to live life according to the truth that they see and according to the vision of what they want to create. So I want to go back a little bit about how most people perceive the world and themselves in this world. They think the world is as it seems, right? So, they know there's corruption. That's what they think. Oh, yeah, there's corrupt politics and there's corrupt finances. But all in all, it's just greed and just people wanting more money. But all in all, it's pretty much as it seems. Then most people think authority is here to protect us. Now, this is something that it should be so obvious by now that it isn't, but that's what most people believe. And how do you know that that's what they believe? Because when it comes down to it, they will always follow the guidance of the authority, even if it's anti-intuitive, even if they would act completely different on their own. So that's another belief that people hold. Another one is that they're powerless, small individuals. They're just a human body. They're just tiny little, I'm just a nobody is what a lot of people say. And that, of course, is contrary to the real truth. This is what it's all about, by the way. This is what the entire construct of this false reality is about, is to hide you from you. As I say, well, what do you mean hide you from you? I'm not talking about hiding your physical body from you, hiding the big you, the high consciousness, the real you, the infinite awareness you. Because once you connect with that, you don't buy any of the bullshit. You literally cancel your subscription to the system because you know better. And that's what's being hidden from people the most. So most people believe they're small and they can't change anything in the world, but they also believe they can't change much about themselves in their lives. That's what they've been taught. They think that the media is telling them the truth, or at least, just exaggerating. Oh, they've just exaggerated the storm, or, they're just trying to sell their news, or they're just trying to make people watch, and that's why they're exaggerating. No, it's a system designed to deliver certain messages. It's a mind control system. So Operation Mockingbird is one that's thankfully finally becoming more, known among the people that are paying attention. But the media is not there to present the news or to keep the government in check or any of that bullshit that you've been told. It's there to program you, whether that was newspapers, whether that was TV or whatnot. And I can tell you that, people that have grown up, and I grew up with newspapers, for example. My mom was a journalist, so we had 10 different newspapers. But this habit of, I got to pick up the paper to know what's going on, and what the paper is telling me is pretty much the truth. It's so ingrained in people, and that's where they base their fundamental information on, right? So they look at that, or they look at the TV, and now they have their information. And then when you challenge that, they go, but that's not what they told us on the news. And then when you explain the story a little more, and then when you tell them, well, this is going on and that's going on in the world, and this is what is really happening behind the scenes, and this is what they're doing with the, for example, the chemtrails, the geoengineering up there. This is what they're spraying. This is why people are getting sick. This is why whole species are disappearing. This is why the weather is changing and whatnot. And then they go to you and then go and say to you, well, if this were true, they would have told us on the news. And that's so often the answer. And you want to slap your forehead and just go, what the fuck? But the truth is that you have to understand where they're coming from. Otherwise, you're just getting into an argument, okay? Another one that is a big one is our health is in good hands. Well, the government, the agencies, the doctors, the pharmaceutical companies, the researcher, the universities, they're all working on figuring out these illnesses and the genetic implications, and they're all working hard to make us better. Well, I'll give you this as a very simple observation. We've become the sickest generation that has ever lived. The only thing that we have now is so many pills and so much technology that they can extend a life longer and they can keep you on machines. But we're the sickest generation ever. So with all the technology and all the research and the trillions of dollars and all the pharma industry and everything, that's what we've come up with, the sickest generation ever. So clearly our health is not in good hands. Clearly the truth is being hidden. Clearly all the natural, the energetic remedies that have been around since, forever are being hidden or ridiculed or hidden from the people. So, but that is what most people believe. People believe that we're alone in the universe, that we're the only species. Most people still believe that anything regarding interdimensional beings or beings that are from other worlds, maybe you call them extraterrestrials or aliens, that's just nonsense and bullshit. It's slowly starting to change, but people don't really want it to change, right? Most people don't want, even if they see that, they don't want to see that because it challenges so much of their belief systems. Once again, this entire belief system is based on the premise that we're on a spinning ball racing through space and we're pretty much alone, and that this is the only place there really is where we can live. So that's kind of the story that people are being told. So they build their lives around it, and then they have to believe in the forms that they fill out, and they have to believe in their 9-to-5s, and they have to believe in the health insurance and all the other crap, and they wouldn't be so inclined to believe in that if there was more of an unlimited perspective on, oh, there's other worlds out there, or there might be other beings, there might be other systems of knowledge. When that becomes part of the equation, this earthly system doesn't work any longer. Another one is, well, the financial system, it just is what it is. The banks loan money and governments print money, and if you have a good credit score, then you can participate in the system. If you work hard, then you'll do well. And they've been just taught these stories, and they've been taught to get an education and then get a job and pay their monthly into Social Security and whatever, and then retire and have their golden years. And that's all based on the financial system, but the financial system in and of itself is a complete fraud. It's literally a racket, and it always makes the mob very envious, because this is the sanctioned racket that literally exploits the entire population. It is a slave system. Now you can find your freedom in that, and you can liberate yourself from it if you understand how it works and if you find a spot for you that works. But this is what most people believe. This is how they were brought up. Another one is that, and this is a big one, is that the world is moving towards progress. So they're seeing everything that we do as nations, in the education system, in technology, they see that we're getting better, because they're being taught a false history where we were not too long ago, we were cavemen, and then we were very brutal in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages, and then, we had all these horrible times, and we were hunters and gatherers, and we were struggling and suffering and whatnot, and all the plagues. And history, the way that it's taught in the education system, tells us that we're the best we've ever been, but that's just not true. In many ways, we're the dumbest, most uneducated, sickest generation that's ever lived. I hate to say it, but on average, that is true. Now, the notable exceptions is maybe a few million people that are different, that feel differently. But this is what you run into to understand. This is a mind control program. So the reason why you see things that many of your family members can't see, or your friends can't see, is not because they wouldn't have access to the information. It's because of who they are while they're looking at the information, they're not open, they're not curious, they're actually angry that someone is challenging their entire belief system. Clearly, those facts that you're showing me can't be true, because fact checkers on Instagram and Facebook have told me that this is wrong. But they don't see that the fact checkers work for the same entities as the education system people and all the others in the media, that is one big conglomerate wanting to keep them in a false baseline reality. So this is really the big one. Yes, everything is a conspiracy. Yes, 99% of the population are wrong about pretty much everything. And that sounds like a very sort of, I don't know, strong statement, or, like I'm sitting high up on a throne and I'm judging people, but that's just the truth. Everything is a conspiracy, and 99% of the population are wrong about pretty much everything. But it's not just because they're dumb, it's because they've been successfully programmed and never challenged it. Maybe now it's down to 95 or 90. Let's give them some benefit here. But it's the baseline reality. So how do you get there? How do you inspire others to get there? There has to be a spark of curiosity in them. If it's not there, then there's nothing you can do, and they're likely an NPC, and you just have to accept that, a non-player character. There's just, and this is not a, again, this is not to be disparaging or judgmental. There are the majority of people that you see are not real people in the sense of they have a spirit and a soul. They're literally part of the program, part of the matrix, if you will. But there's enough real people with real spirit, real spark, that are still very much programmed into this thing. And so maybe trying to challenge them on the statement, not everything is a conspiracy, doesn't work so well. What I've noticed is that it has to become personal for people. So if you really want to help someone awaken to who they really are, and if you really feel that you're guided to do that, ask them more about themselves. Ask them about their life and what they're enjoying, what they're struggling with, what they always wanted but never did. Get them into the creative side of things. Get them into the imagination side of things, where they talk from a different place. And then, you can slowly but surely kind of ask them, well, what is keeping you from trying this or that, or living this or that, or changing this or that? And then you can get into a place where it matters to them, right? Because unless they're directly affected by that weather manipulated hurricane, or unless they're affected by the direct energy weapons that create a fire or any of the other bullshit, yes, they care. But yes, they feel for those people, but they have no skin in the game. So people begin to first change within their own lives and in their own sphere. And if they align their lives with truth more and more and more, then it's easier for them to see the patterns outside of them. And the ultimate goal, if you will, is that the 100th monkey effect, if you will, that we will get to a place where a critical mass of real divine spark human beings is aligned with truth, and they can see that we're literally living in a electromagnetic holographic prison world, if you will, but that there is the real thing waiting, that there is the real beautiful prime earth waiting, and that it is us and how and who we are that makes that happen. It isn't defeating the enemy. It isn't warring with the enemy. Greg Braden said it beautifully. We shouldn't think about winning or even warring with the enemy. The right word is triumph. What does triumph mean? Triumph means that you're so far advanced, so far above the enemy, and we're talking about consciousness here, that it's not even a competition. It's not even a war. It's so clear. So the more people that raise their consciousness and are willing to accept greater truths into their lives, the easier and the faster this transition will go. So we're talking about baseline realities. We're talking about belief systems. We're talking about perceptions, programmed perceptions. And if you don't see that, you will keep fighting with people. And you have to know when the juice is worth the squeeze. I mean, I leave pretty much 90% of such statements unchallenged because it's not worth my time, because I know it's going nowhere. I can already tell by the way that a person behaves, speaks, that they won't be receptive to any fact or theory that I might present. So I focus on those people who are actually curious and open. So if you want to know, and if you're watching or listening, and if you want to know how to look at the world, how to find out what the facts and what the truth is, and that isn't easy, by the way, the first thing that you have to have activated is intuition. Intuition is your guiding system. It's not your gut. It's not your brain. Intuition is located more in the chest or heart area, if you will. And your heart literally has its own little brain, by the way. But intuition comes from a higher place. It is often not logical. It's inconvenient sometimes, but that's the thing that guides you the best. And then you have to imagine that you're looking at the world, at your country, at your government, at what is really happening from an outsider perspective. Think of it in a way that says, I have no stake while I'm exploring the truth. All I'm following is the evidence, nothing else. I don't let any belief system get in the way. I don't let my religion get in the way. I don't let anything get in the way. I'm only focused on where the evidence leads me. Whenever a part of you kicks in that says, I can see the evidence, but I don't want to believe it. This is what happens to a lot of people. I don't want to believe that. There must be another explanation. Well, usually, if you have the facts in front of you and a picture emerges, the most logical picture that emerges is usually the right one. There's exceptions, but mainly that's it. And this might lead to a place where you find that pretty much everything you were ever taught and shown is a lie. When you arrive at that place, you're on the right track, because that is the truth. Pretty much everything you've been ever told or taught is a lie. Was it a lie by the people who taught you? No. To them, they thought they were telling you the truth. It was a lie that was carefully constructed and perfected over many centuries and millennia. This is a really sophisticated system. And so only when you step outside of it, only when you look at the 40,000 foot view, the bird's eye perspective, can you actually see things for what they are. And then you wonder how you could ever not see it. But this is what we're talking about. If you take your education, what your parents taught you, what your teachers taught you, what the world taught you as your baseline reality, then naturally all these conspiracy theories, most of them seem ludicrous, completely insane, blown out of proportion. And I get that. And some of them, of course, are. But the deeper you dig, the more you find that actually they're not going far enough. It's much deeper than that. And I will come back full circle to why. Why is this happening? Once again, the simple explanation is, and you can dive deeper by listening to, for example, go and read David Icke's newest book, The Reveal, a very, very powerful book. But in a nutshell, there were entities that were so far removed from divine consciousness, from original consciousness, that they lost all connection with it. And these entities seduced divine spark, human divine spark, into a carefully constructed false reality. What they feed off is despair, is desperation, is fear, is sadness, is anger, all low vibrational energies. That is their sustenance. That's the battery for them. So they create a world that largely creates suffering and sadness and anger in human beings, and a little bit of joy, because you can't have only that. People would figure it out. And they keep people in this perceptual reality by creating all these huge distractions, politics, entertainment, arts, music, science, all these false paradigms that people are engaged in for their entire lives. And so once you can kind of grasp this concept, you go and look at the world and you realize, holy shit, this really isn't a world for humans. This isn't a pro-life world. This is not a pro-creativity world, a pro-love world. It isn't. But that doesn't mean that there isn't such a world, such a reality available for us. There is. And why is all this happening? Again, to hide from us the discovery of who we really are, right? It's like, it's like what they do in a circus. If you would raise a lion in its natural environment, it would never perform for you in a circus. So what do? They take the cubs and they put them in cages, and they never let them discover that they're lions and that they're strong and that they're fierce and that they have all this power. No, they keep them in cages, they keep them under violence, and they make the lions believe they're small and powerless. Now, every once in a while, a lion realizes this and all hell breaks loose because he attacks the people that have been dominating him, because he's awakening to the truth that he is a lion. So that's what happens to most people. They're kept in a way of life so they can never discover how powerful they are. And once they do, well, everything begins to change. And they begin to change, their lives begin to change, and reality begins to change. And then you're not saying, oh, not everything is a conspiracy. Then you realize this is a world of lies and deception. I'm finally seeing it for what it is. That is freedom. That's sovereignty. That's liberation. And that's the point that we're at. So, this is just to give you a perspective on what is happening in so many conversations and why so many people are struggling with these conversations, why they're having problems with their spouses and their relatives and their friends. It's because you have different baseline realities. So that's why we'll continue to talk about these subjects, why we will continue to explain it and to help people discover who they truly are. That's the mission here. And we're not going to stop until the job is done. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you, and we will be back with you again very, very soon.
Listen, right now you could be only a few clicks away from experiencing something amazing, something that has changed thousands of lives all over the world. I'm talking about a high consciousness field similar to those at pilgrimage sites and sacred places. It's where people go to heal, to connect, and to become the best possible version of themselves. With FLFE, you can bring such a high consciousness field into your home right now. It's a spiritual quantum technology based on the work of Nikola Tesla. Better sleep, more energy, greater well-being, improved finances, electrosmog mitigation. These are only some of the things people on the FLFE service are experiencing. Try it now for 15 days completely free of charge, no credit card needed. Just click on a link down below to start your free, no strings attached FLFE trial right now.